Do you believe voters have a right to see your tax returns before they make a final decision?
I don't think they do.
If I decide to run for office, I'll produce my tax returns, absolutely.
There have been many presidents that have not shown their tax returns.
Actually, every single nominee since 1976 has released their tax
before
returns.
1976...
I'm the only one on the stage that said we should not go into Iraq.
Are you for invading Iraq?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm very pro-life.
I'm very pro-choice.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle? There has to be some form of punishment.
I am pro-choice in every respect.
She has no natural talent to be president.
She's very talented, and she has a husband that I also like very much.
Hillary Clinton was the worst Secretary of State in the history of the United States.
Hillary Clinton, how did she do as Secretary of State? Probably above and beyond everybody else.
Let's say Hillary is president.
Hillary Clinton, I think, is a terrific woman. I think she really works hard, and I think she does a good job, and I like her.
Donald, true or false, you've said the government should pay for everyone's health care?
That's false.
You've never said that.
Everybody's got to be covered.
Universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody.
Who pays for it?
The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side.
They're here illegally. You take them, they have to go back.
We have to show some compassion.
You're right.
We just can't throw everybody out.
They have
So
to
you're going to
come
split up
illegally.
families.
Chuck,
You're going to deport children.
Chuck, no, we're going to keep the families together. We have to keep the families together.
But you're going to keep
But
them
they have
together
to
out.
go. But they have to go.
How do you throw somebody out that's lived in this country for 20 years?
North Korea has nukes. Japan has a problem with that. I mean, they have a big problem with it. Maybe they would, in fact, be better off if they defend themselves from North Korea. Maybe we would be better off, including with nukes. Yes, including with nukes.
They said, I want Japan to nuke. I want Japan to get nuclear weapons. Give me a break.
He said I was in favor of Libya. I never discussed that subject. I was in favor of Libya. We would be so much better off if Gaddafi were in charge right now. Gaddafi in Libya is killing thousands of people. I'm a conservative person.
The Republicans are just too crazy right. I mean, just what's going on is just nuts.
Bush says, I do not believe he's a true conservative. These people are stupid.
Do you identify more as a Democrat or a Republican?
In many cases, I probably identify more as a Democrat. The economy does better under the Democrats than the Republicans.
Wages too high. We're not going to be able to compete against the world. I hate to say it, but we have to leave it the way it is. I don't know how people make it on $7.25 an hour. I would like to see an increase of some magnitude.
As far as the truth goes, we've got people in positions of power who I know for a fact are liars. Liars. I don't believe any one of them, not one. I believe Donald.
Mm-hmm.
Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, these countries are tiny compared to the Soviet Union. They don't pose a serious threat to us.
So let me be absolutely clear. Iran is a great threat.
We can send 15,000 more troops, 20,000 more troops, 30,000 more troops. I don't know any expert on the region or any military officer that I've spoken to privately that believes that that is going to make a substantial difference on the situation on the ground. Now, I had no doubt, and I said at the time when I opposed the surge, that given how wonderfully our troops perform, if we place 30,000 more troops in there, then we would see an improvement in the security situation and we would see a reduction in the violence.
So if somebody wants to build a coal-powered plant, they can. It's just that it will bankrupt them because they're going to be charged a huge sum for all that greenhouse gas that's being emitted.
In Illinois and the U.S. Senate, Barack Obama helped lead the fight for clean coal to protect our environment and save good-paying American jobs.
Last year, you said if you were the nominee, you would opt for public financing in the general election of a campaign. You checked yes on a questionnaire.
We've made the decision not to participate in the public financing system for the general election.
You said in Idaho recently, quoting here, I have no intention of taking away folks' guns. But you support the D.C. handgun ban, and you said that it's constitutional. How can you reconcile those two positions?
I have said consistently that I believe the Second Amendment is an individual right, and that was the essential decision that the Supreme Court came down on.
Well, I am not a nuclear energy proponent.
I favor nuclear power as one component of our overall energy mix.
Jerusalem will remain the capital of Israel, and it must remain undivided.
But I've also said that that's a final status issue. That's an issue that has to be dealt with the parties involved, the Palestinians and the Israelis.
I can no more disown him than I can disown the black community.
I am outraged by the comments that were made and saddened over the spectacle.
Would you be willing to meet separately, without precondition, during the first year of your administration with the leaders of Iran, Syria, Venezuela, Cuba, and North Korea?
Senator Obama?
I would. And the reason is this, that the notion that somehow not talking to countries is punishment to them is ridiculous. Senator McCain keeps on using this example that suddenly the president would just meet with somebody without doing any preparation, without having low-level talks. Nobody's been talking about that.
Without precondition?
I would.
So let me be absolutely clear.
Let me be clear.
Look, number one, the fact is that...
Now, the challenge for us as the federal government is that we don't run these police forces. I can't federalize every police force in the country and force them to retrain, but what I can do is to start working with them collaboratively so that they can begin this process of change themselves.
Just as I promised, we are allowing our local police to access surplus military equipment, something the previous administration for some reason refused to do. Explain that one. Explain it to me, please. Never understood that one. Somebody out there can explain. Anybody want to stand up and explain it? That'd be tough.
Who's Yanny?
Nazi Germany. Yeah, I think we're going to have a vaccine by the end of the year. We're doing very well with the vaccine. And I will tell you something. I just literally left a meeting. We're mobilizing our military and other forces, but we're mobilizing our military on the basis that we do have a vaccine. You know, it's a massive job to give this vaccine. Our military is now being mobilized. So at the end of the year, we're going to be able to give it to a lot of people very, very rapidly.
Who's Yanny?
We tortured some folks.
Nazi Germany.